Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is altars. Now, if you research what an altar should have on it, it's going to tell you a lot of stuff. It's going to tell you you need something that symbolizes air and wind and fire and earth, and you need, all these different things. You don't. It can be very simple and personable, and you don't feel like you need to have a bunch of expensive stuff. Don't feel like you need to have all these things on your altar. You will find that once you start your altar, that in time you will collect a bunch of different things for your altar once you get an idea of where you're going. Now, there's different kinds of altars. I obviously am not home. I show my altar quite a bit on my Instagram, so those of you that follow me are familiar with my altars. I have 2 in my room, and one of those is specifically for Santa Muerte, and my other one is for orishas and ancestors. And then I have another altar that I share with my dad. He doesn't do any of this, but I convinced him last year to make an ancestor altar for everyone who has passed on in our family. And that is in a different room, and I don't show that one. But so when you first start, you might just start with one altar, and what it needs to be is just a space. It could be a side table. It could be any makeshift little table. It could be your dresser, like mine. Mine turned into a huge altar. It could be any space that you need, that you go to do your candle work, that you go to center yourself, that you go to do whatever you need to do. Like, a lot of times I just stand at my altar and think and ask for messages, and I talk to my ancestors, and I talk to my spirit guides, and I feel like I can get better messages that way. I feel more at peace at my altars. It is your workspace if you practice the craft. If you do a lot of rituals and you do a lot of candle work, that is your workspace. My altar, my big altar, is where I do most of my work, and then candles get moved when I am done with the actual process of it, and then when I do a ritual or whatever, things get moved. The group rituals, the new moon and the full moon rituals, those altars get created every time. They all have a different theme. They all have a different thing going on. You can see those pictures on my Instagram. I work really hard on those. I try to make them as special and nice as possible. Since those are specifically for rituals, those have offerings and different things going on and different elements going on. But Brujo has his altar, and we needed more space, so we made a makeshift altar on his bar, and then we also made a makeshift altar at the table, because we don't really use the table for anything but this now. So sometimes if you don't have a specific space, you can create a makeshift altar or a travel altar, and that's fine too. It's your space to do what you need to do, to feel what you need to feel, and have that space to meditate or think or center yourself or connect to spirit. But it doesn't have to have a bunch of fancy things. When you're doing your candles, say you're doing my candles or anyone else's candles or visual candles, whatever, I think the most important things to have on your altar is your candle and a glass of water. You will always see water glasses on our altars. Here's one right here. And see, look, we got this from a hotel we stayed at. So, you know, use stuff around your house. Go to the Dollar Tree, go to the 99-cent store and find glasses or little things like that that you can use on your altar. It's perfectly fine. Just cleanse everything before you put it on your altar. But the water is really important, and I'm going to tell you why. You may get different reasons from different people. I'm going to tell you what the water means to me. And like I'm always telling you, I will give you information, I will give you advice, but my information and my advice isn't the only advice out there. I do what works well for me, what has worked well for me, what I like, what feels right to me. This doesn't mean you have to do it my way at all. I will never ever say that my way is the right way and my way is the only way, because it's not. So the water is really important, and if you see my altars, you'll see I have 2 glasses of water on my big altar and 1 or 2 on the Santa Muerte altar. The water, for one, is an offering. It's an offering to Spirit. It's an offering to your ancestors. It's an offering to whoever you're working with. The water is also a portal. It's a portal to the other world, the spiritual world. It is a portal where they can communicate. So it's very important to me to have these waters on my altar. You will see too that a lot of times I post pictures from the rituals or whatever of the water, and it has bubbles in it. This one doesn't right now. When you are doing your rituals or doing your work or whatever, and your water all of a sudden has bubbles in it, for me, this is a symbol to me that Spirit is with you, is here, is hearing you, and it's their way of letting you know. That's what I think. That's what I feel. You won't always get bubbles. Like right now, there's no bubbles because I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing any rituals or anything. But usually when we're doing work and calling in spirits and calling in deities and calling in the universe and calling in our ancestors and calling in all our spiritual entourage, we'll usually get bubbles. You can have, I like to have money on my altar as an offering. We usually have money. We usually have bills. This is a sign for money. So we usually have money. One big thing that I do, and not everyone can do this, not everyone can afford to do this, and that's understandable, but it's important to me, is I always have fresh flowers on my altar. Every week I buy flowers, every week. It's important to me. I do so much work with my spirits. I call them my spiritual entourage, because that's my gang. Those are my homies, those are my friends, those are my family. These are my spirits. These are who I call on. They're my family. So I call on them a lot to help me, to help you guys, and to help myself. So I feel it's important that one of the things that I do for them is make sure they have water and they have flowers as an offering. So you'll always see fresh flowers. I know that's not always affordable for everybody, and that's okay. I've been asked, is fake flowers okay? Sure, if you want to go that route. You can find reasonable flowers for a reasonable cost. Walmart carries small bunches. It has the green wrapper, and they're like I think $4.98, and you can find them in the like produce area. So for $4.98, for $5, you can get a pretty cute bouquet. I like to get carnations a lot because carnations are inexpensive and they last the longest of all the flowers. Roses don't last very long at all. I try to avoid them, but sometimes I need them. Brujo buys roses quite a bit, but they just don't last me as long. But I do like them. They are pretty, and I do use their petals for a lot of different things, so I do buy them. But carnations are really the route to go for something that lasts long and is inexpensive, so you get more bang for your buck. Albertsons has $5 bouquets. I think every day now they have a $5 bunch. Sometimes they're like $7.99, $6.99. So there are options out there if you're willing to spend a little bit of money. But yeah, you can also have your fake flowers too. That's fine. I always have Florida water on my altar. I always have candies or things that I know that they seem to like. Depending, and it depends. Like if you're asking for help and you're using a certain deity or a certain orisha or a certain god or goddess, you need to look into what they like. What are their colors? What are their thing? What is symbolic to them? Because you will find that information. So do that research and look and see, and then that will help you get an idea of what to put on your altar for them. Some of them are like cinnamon, some of them like honey, some of them like certain fruits and certain foods. So if you're going to make an offering of food, I try to choose things that will last longer on the altar. Depending on what spirits I'm working with or my ancestors, like my grandma and grandpa, I try to put things that I know they liked when they were here. One of the biggest things, and this is another cost thing that not everybody will be able to do, but spirits love their booze. They love booze. I have found the best is rum. They take to rum pretty well. And so I will go and buy a big jug of rum. And it's funny, I have a funny story real quick. I had went to Costco. This was like last year, maybe. It might have been this time last year. I went to Costco and they had like a sale where you can buy 2 big jugs for like $15 or something, and it was like the good shit. It was Bacardi, the biggest jugs. So I bought 2 of those, and those lasted me forever. Because here's another little tip too, for offering bowls or cups. Yeah, I stole these from restaurants. I admit it. When you're taking your food home, your to-go boxes, I just will take these too. But these are perfect for putting your alcohol in for your spirits. I have there's, get creative. There's different little things you can use to put your offerings in. But so yeah, those 2 big giant jugs of rum lasted me forever. And then I had finally ran out, and I was in a hurry, and I was being cheap, and I bought a big jug of I don't even know what brand it was. It was an off-brand. And I bought a big jug, and I still have it. I'm finally getting down to the end, but I can feel that they were mad about it. I could feel it. I could feel like they were like, oh, she got me this cheap shit. sorry. But you know, I'm finally getting to the end of the bottle, and so my next bottles I'll buy the good shit. But I got them used to the good Bacardi. But anyways, you can buy the cheap shit, doesn't matter. They're happy to get any booze. But they do love their booze, and they do love smoke, cigar smoke. In some of our rituals, you'll see Brujo blow cigar smoke on the altar. So those are things that you can have on your altar and offerings. A lot of time we'll use fruit and stuff. Now, I like to keep the offerings on the altar for about 3 days, and then I will throw it out. So there's things on my altars too that just stay on my altars that are like candies, things that are wrapped, things that will last long. They do also like things like nuts and raisins and stuff, and like I said, things like honey and cinnamon. Those are things that can stay on your altar. I switch them out every few months or whatever. But let's see, what else do they... But the point is, your altar can be whatever you want it to be. It could be as simple or as extravagant as you want it to be. So when you're first starting to create your altar, don't feel like, oh, I don't have enough stuff. You'll get there. I promise you. You'll be out shopping or whatever, and you're gonna be like, oh, that's cute. That would look really nice on my altar. And then before you know it, you're gonna have a ton of stuff. I'm just gonna take this phone and I'm gonna switch it around. I'm gonna show you Brujo's altar and point out some things. Let me switch you around. Can I switch you around? Why can't I switch you around? Hold on. Okay. So, see, he has like different stuff. He has a thing with ravens, and this altar is for the Morgan, and he has his water, and he has apples for her, and all the ravens for her. So it's actually really clean right now because it was like such a mess, and he just recently cleaned it up, and I'm actually really proud of him. Okay, so then over here we have our makeshift altar, and this is Yemaya and Santa Muerte. So they're divided. It's not together, it's divided. But here's some stuff that we have for Yemaya. And then over here we have Santa Muerte. Things have changed, things change, things get picked up and put down and taken down and put back up. So, are you guys getting that? See, there's my water. There's all kinds of stuff here. There's a coconut. Things change, things get put up and taken down and stuff depending on what we're working on. So, you should be careful when you are working with different deities, because some deities don't want to be with other deities, and so that's something you need to be careful about and look into. If you have any questions about your altar or what you need or what you don't need, just DM me through Instagram and I will be happy to help you. Like I said, you can find a lot of information online about what needs to go on your altar and what doesn't need to go on your altar, but it's your altar. Make it however you want to make it. I do recommend you have those key things though, which is your water and offerings and your candles and stuff. So just keep that in mind. I really hope I'm helping you guys out with the information I'm giving you. I know I'm all over the place. I know I'm all over the place all the time because I don't really ever know what I'm going to tell you guys. I'm kind of winging it. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Hopefully Brujo will be home soon, and I guess that's it, you guys. Until next time, I'm gonna work on some stuff for the Etsy shop. Those things will be up in the next few days, and a shipment is going out next Monday or Tuesday. So if you want to make any orders, make orders now so you can get them shipped out on Tuesday and have it soon. All right, you guys, I'll talk to you guys later.